Hi, I'm Perry Atkinson, General Manager here at theDove. Hey, check out our other videos and check out our website at thedove.us. Welcome back. Our special guest today is Denise Schick. She's an author, speaker, and she's also the director of Help for Families Ministry. Now, this is a Christian ministry that compassionately reaches out to family members and churches and bringing a broader understanding of the emotional pain and spiritual confusion that people sometimes face when loved ones have a gender identity issue. She's also a board member of the Parents and Friends of Ex-Gays and Gays, and she's here to talk about a recent claim put out by Johns Hopkins Hospital psychiatrist that gender or transgender is a mental disorder. Wow, that's an awful lot, Denise, and I know you have a lot to respond to. First of all, thanks for being with us. How are you doing today?
Thank you. I'm doing fine. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah. Well, this article kind of shook things up, and you wanted to respond to it.
Yeah, it did. The culture and what we're seeing going on today is just this movement is moving so fast that I don't even think that society realizes or comprehends what's happening. The issue of itself, it is a mental disorder. They have gone to change it from being a disorder to dysphoria, which really still has the same meaning of it. Just because somebody's going to come to the point where they have sex reassignment surgery doesn't mean that everything is going to be okay afterwards. So many times the underlying factors that's brought the individual to that point has never been discussed or checked into and investigated to see what has really brought this person to be incoherent with their born gender that God had created them to be.
So what do you think's happened? What happens with a person that wants to do this, in your opinion?
Well, there's a lot of different characteristics and things, events that can take place in one's life. Unfortunately, it's not a one size that fits all. It would be wonderful if, there were just certain characteristics, 1 through 10, that somebody could look through and understand. I'd first like to say not everybody had been sexually molested. There are those that have been, but that is not consistent with every individual that has transgender feelings or struggles. It can be their perception of the rejection that they've felt, either from their father figure, to their peers. In some way, they have not leveled up to what somebody else's expectations of. And unfortunately, I think sometimes mothers, as much as we want to love and sometimes smother our children, that there are circumstances where the boy is raised many times by moms and aunts and grandmas, and again has not had that male role model to know what that's like. What does that look like to be raised as a little boy into a man, to accept that role and that gender of who he is?
This whole issue of transgender and sex change has become not only somewhat common, but almost celebrated. But is it biologically possible to have it done?
No, it's not. Biologically, there's nothing that we can do about the insides of what our DNA, what our makeup is. Outside, they can have sex reassignment surgery, and of course, with cosmetic surgeries and all that consists that an individual can do, it can change their appearance on the outside. I know individuals that have had anywhere from 11 to 27 surgeries, trying to become that perfect image, trying to become the perfect woman image that they have instilled in their mind and heart that they want to look like. They can't change what's on the inside. If the DNA test was done, it would prove that individual is male or female. But we can change the outside, most definitely.
All right, before I run out of time, you have a special conference coming up October 3rd and 4th. Tell us about that.
Yeah, on October 3rd, we're going to be allowed to share stories. There will be former homosexuals that will be attending to go to the legislators, the representatives, to be able to share their personal stories, to say we do exist. Unfortunately, in the world that we live in, many people say, what, ex-homosexual, ex-transgender, that doesn't happen, but indeed it does happen. And really a lot of my close friends are former homosexuals. And so that will allow an opportunity Friday to be able to talk to the representatives and to be able to present any ask and answer time with that representative. On Saturday, we'll be having speakers, keynote speakers and workshops filled with the day to hopefully be able to answer some questions that individuals have and to be able to help them understand homosexuality and transgenderism a little bit better.
Denise, when we talk about ex-gays, what is the one factor that helps them to leave that lifestyle?
I think the one factor is obviously having a relationship with God for him to be able to take those blinders off, but to have other individuals that have gone through the same similar struggles, that have gone through the homosexual life and relationships, and to realize that brokenness that they have, that the Lord is their healer.
And I know that you're concerned about this and how the church is handling it. We still don't seem to be handling this issue very well. Why?
I think somewhat because we're ashamed to talk about it. I understand the sensitivity of this. There were many years where I didn't want to talk about this. I never dreamed that I'd be talking about this publicly. And from the shame that I had felt, but from the church as well, we would rather pretend that nobody in our churches are suffering or having these struggles to address. As one pastor told me, the reason I don't have you come and speak to my church is because these issues will arise that the individuals haven't, and then I'm left to deal with it. And in fact, that's what we as the church are supposed to be there to support, to kind of be the hospital for we're all sinners, so the hospital for sinners. But I think just because we're scared of it too, we don't know. People don't understand the issues at hand.
How would you describe it? Is it an addiction?
I do describe it as an addiction, and for the reason being with the people that I've worked with myself, how they have described it and how it has the addictive cycle in their life with this is the first gentleman that had called me had shared his story, and it started out like this. I started to cross-dress. I would stop at the motel room. When I was having a bad day, I would stop there to release the stress. And I thought I could control it. But what I discovered was that it, meaning the cross-dressing, started to control me. And so he had moved from simply cross-dressing into relieving his emotional distress and what all that involved, into now going and crossing the line of saying, I'm really thinking about maybe sex reassignment surgery. Maybe this body I'm in is not who I really am.
I think that we want to minister to the gay community. We just don't know how to do it. And for the most fact, the gay community sees us as nothing more than somewhat bigoted and somewhat hypocritical, or if not hypercritical of their lifestyle. We really haven't found the bridge to minister to them.
Yeah, and it's basically, I think, because of God's word being in opposition of the homosexual life. And with that, we as individuals, and I say as sinners, we simply cannot bring God up to our expectations or to change God's ways into our ways. Really, then we're having our self-idol in our own ways of worshiping a false God. God has his own expectations, and he has called us into holiness, and our temples being a holy temple.
In the heart of a person who's struggling with this, do you think that they're struggling with the guilt of it as much as they are with the addiction of it?
Yes. For the individuals that I work with, most definitely, the guilt of it. and as well as their desire to be able to go to their churches, to go to their church leader. Many times they'll find a church leader that is not necessarily their primary church because of the shame that they're going through, and they don't want their family take any chance that this secret that they deal with is known to others, because they're not sure of what the kind of treatment they'll get from them.
Yeah, right. All right, just let our listeners know the conference is coming up October 3rd and 4th in Washington, D.C. The website for that is pfox.org.
Correct.
And that's for parents and friends of ex-gays and gays, so that's pfox.org if you're interested in attending the conference. And those who want to know more about your ministry, is it helpforfamilies.com?
It is. It's with a number 4. Currently, we're working on our website, so it's been kind of up and down, unfortunately, throughout the last few days. But it is helpforfamilies.com.
Okay, and there's some resources there for family members and church leaders, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, Denise, thank you. Fascinating, and thank you for what you're doing. And the more of this we hear, the more hope I think it gives to more people. Not only how to handle the situation, but certainly for those who are struggling with the addiction and what to do.
Yes, yeah, and they need the churches. We families need the churches, and the individuals need you very badly.
All right. Thanks, Denise. Again, her website is help4families.com, or if you're interested in the conference, you can go to pfox.org, pfox.org, and register there. We'll see you next time on Focus Today.